a simple fact is this, and people might be upset, but the drugs like Prozac in laboratory tests are no better than a sugar pill. And that's how many billions of dollars a day on this planet are spent buying Prozac.
Yes.
Or statin drugs. Statin drugs help less than 3% of the people that take them. And in fact, they cause side effects that are dangerous in about 23%. So you help 3% with a drug, 23% are getting toxic from the drug. And the idea is these are drugs that, how long do you take statins? How long do you plan to live? Look, it's advertised every 10 minutes on television. There's a new drug or a drug, and it's put into their heads like, your life's not working right? This drug, look at the happy people. See, they've taken the drug and how happy they are. And people buy that story, and drugs kill over 300,000 people a year. Pharmaceutical drugs kill about 300,000 people a year. And everybody's, that's just the cost of doing medicine. And yet they have a war on drugs, which kill less than 30,000 people a year. And all of a sudden you got a war because 30,000 people died. 300,000 people die. That's business as usual. It's like, wow.
And most people would blow their mind with those stats, but I think you're probably right. As in this whole huge war on drugs we have around the planet, all of the overdoses, all of the shocking stories and the things you see in movies, 30,000 deaths versus 300,000 due to pharmaceutical drug deaths. Prescribed.
Yes.
By a doctor.
Yes.
That ad that you saw on television.
Yes.
And then you have it. Yeah, that says a lot. Now, how can they actually control the discussions in medical schools? It's one thing if they control the studies. How can they control what people are talking about, what people are teaching?
Where does funding come from? Where does money come from in a medical school? Who gets paid? Doctors get paid. They get paid to prescribe drugs. They have these young women, you pick, who are the drug reps? You look at them, you line them up, there's a few guys over there, but most of them are all these pretty young women. Why? They walk in a lab, give a smile, here's some samples, hand these out, and the next thing you know, then the doctor is prescribing their patients to those drugs. There's a story, there's even movies about that, okay? That's a real story. The schools get money from pharmaceutical agencies, and research, I said, is big. Research is big. People don't understand. When I was teaching at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, I gave 6 lectures a year. And the government at that time and the people were like up in arms, just like, you pay these professors this much money, and some of them like Lipton only teach 6 classes in a year? And when the truth came out, is why? When I get a grant, the school gets an extra 56% of whatever the grant was back then. So if I got a $100,000 grant, the school was given $56,000 to have me have the grant. They called it overhead. Mm-hmm. And when they put the numbers together, the researchers were bringing in nearly half of the money to run a university. So all of a sudden they turn around and go, don't kick the cash cow. If it's 6 lectures, he's still bringing money and paying more than his salary and supporting the school. So research is a very big commodity at a university because it offsets their expenses.
Okay, so it's a racket.
It is a racket.
And all these pristine, like these universities, you look up at these hollowed schools and these noble things, behind the scenes,
money.
It's a lot of dirty money.
Absolutely. Look, I was required to get a grant. That's what allowed me to be there. Well, I said, where do you get your money from? Well, you can get it from government, but government money is less and less every year. Private sources, Muscular Dystrophy Association, American Cancer Society, all these societies support, and pharmaceutical straight cash money, cash cow.
Okay. How do we break this cycle? How do you fight these huge companies?
Basically stop buying the product. And you say, but how can I stop buying the product? And the answer is, well, empower yourself, because you're the one that controls all this. Any drug that affects you, you got to understand this. If I take a drug and it affects me, the reason why it affects me is because I have a natural equivalent of that drug in my own biology. You don't take a drug and it affects you and you have a receptor for that drug, like you are having this protein receptor for a drug you may never take. That would be silly. So if you have a receptor for a drug, then by definition, that receptor was already there because there was a natural drug. So in smoking pot, everyone, oh, no, there's a drug called tetrahydrocannabinol. And guess what? You have receptors for it because you make your own. So the idea is this. well, if you want to have the effect of the drug, do you have to take an outside drug? And I say, no, you have to change your consciousness because you already manufacture every equivalent of a drug right now. And the idea is, if you're not manufacturing it, then that means your consciousness is not supporting you in your health. And it's really an adjustment of consciousness, not an adjustment of your biology.
So it's a mindset shift that we don't need the solution in a pill, that we're not victims, that it's not a fatalist, way of looking at life, that your future is predetermined.
Well, see, that's the old genetic story. Oh, right. You've got this cancer gene. There is no cancer gene. That's an absolute truth. I can say it right here. There is no gene that causes cancer, not one. And I say, well, yeah, but look, Angelina Jolie, she had a double mastectomy because she had the BRCA1 gene. And I go, yeah, 50% of the women with the BRCA1 gene never get the cancer. What's the point? If the gene causes cancer, how can 50% of the women that have the gene not get the cancer? And the answer is the gene alone is not causing the cancer. It's associated with it, but it doesn't cause. You have to have some life stimulus kick it off, and then we'll select that gene. Okay?
And what would that stimulus be?
Mostly in cancer, anger.
Is that proven, or is that just a theory?
No, there's a collective nature of who are the cancer patients. What's a characteristic of a cancer patient? Most of them are very upset in their lives. They're not happy. They're not, releasing their emotions, stresses, holding them in, bottling them in. And the chemistry of stress is a chemical. And the chemical, here's a simple fact. Stress causes at least up to 90% of doctor visits. You say, how can stress do this? And the answer is very simple. Stress causes a hormone called stress hormones, cortisol, to be released in the body. I say, what does cortisol do? I say, number one, it causes the blood in the viscera, the guts, where maintenance of the body and healing comes from all the organs. It causes the blood vessels to shut down because it pushes the blood to the arms and legs. Why? Stress means you're ready to run, fight or flight. So you push the energy to where you need it, arms and legs. Well, where do you get it from? Well, you squeeze the blood vessels in the gut. Well, this is growth. The viscera is growth. That's what the organs are for. Arms and legs are for protection. What's the point? If I'm in protection, I shut off growth. And more importantly, stress hormones shut off the immune system. A reason is just energy. The idea is if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and you have a bacterial infection, how do you want to split the energy? How much energy you want to run away and how much you want to fight the with the immune system? The answer is the hell with the bacterium. I mean, if the tiger catches you, the bacteria is useless. It's meaningless, So when you're in stress hormones shut down the immune system to conserve energy. Does the immune system use energy? Of course. If you've ever been really sick, you never even got out of bed, you have no energy. And if you're in fight or flight mode, you need the energy to deal with the world, okay? So stress hormones physically shut off the immune system. When you're under stress, that's when sickness starts to show up. In fact, it's so good at shutting off the immune system, doctors give patients who are going to receive a foreign organ, a graft of a kidney or a lung or whatever they're grafting, that's foreign tissue. If you put a foreign organ in your body, your immune system's job is to eliminate it. So as they're transplanting an organ, they give the patient stress hormones at the same time because stress hormones will shut off the immune system so the organ won't be rejected right away. That's how effective it is. It's used therapeutically to shut off the immune system. Yeah, but everybody out there in this world right now, with a small exception, is under some level of stress. Stress of my job, stress of money, will I have health care, whatever it is. And I say, yeah, every one of those people is dripping stress hormones continuously in their body, and those hormones inhibit the immune system, and the result is illness. And if you stop the growth, you say, yeah, but I'm an adult, I don't need to grow. And I say, yeah, but you have to replace hundreds of billions of cells that you lose every day. As I said, we just lost now 2 billion red cells.
So Angelina shouldn't have got the double mastectomy.
No, she has to recognize this. There's the gene didn't cause it, but it's related to a lifestyle. And if you change the lifestyle, you don't have to worry about the gene. But the problem is 95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and this is a fact, every human first 7 years is download a hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? It's sort of like I buy a new iPod and I take it out of the box and I push play and nothing happens, and you think, oh my God, I spent all the money and the damn thing isn't working. And then some little 7-year-old kid comes up and says, well, mister, you didn't download any music. How are you going to play something? And I go, that's the same thing. It's like the brain is like the iPod. Consciousness is the screen where I can create. But if I don't have anything in the hard drive, I can't create. So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. I say, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. And then I say, well, why is it relevant? Because this is the unfortunate fact. 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%.
So your life is being lived, even though you think you're living your life.
Exactly, and you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So Angelina Jolie runs in a family where there is cancer. And I say, yeah, they have the gene. I say, that didn't cause it. It was the behavior that was passed on. Behavior is passed on, not like genes. It's passed on through families, right, but it's passed on through learning in families.
Okay. In your lecture on the biology of belief, you made this analogy at the end of a camera and then an eye, and how the camera kind of inverts the image and puts it on the film, and yet with our eye, we invert the image, and then we put it through a filter in our brains.
Right.
And this is what you're talking about. The first 7 years of your life puts a filter on everything.
Absolutely. How do you behave?
Right. There's millions of rules, so you and I can look at two separate things, or two things, and completely have different conclusions.
Right, and it's just based on how you grew up, what you see. You know, look, this is not new. I mean, there's the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Sure. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life, Donald Trump, and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family, oh, you can't make it, life's a struggle, things are hard, who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because of the programming.